So here's my dashboard for Autodesk 360 Technical Preview. I currently just have one project in there, which I got from a Navisworks file that I already had at hand, mainly because just to verify the performance I get with BIM 360 as well as the desktop version of Navisworks. So to open up the file, you just simply have to click on it and it will open up the file as well as some of the version details and documentation commenting that I had. So it takes a little bit of time to load this drawing. This project is of a OSV, probably 60,000 parts. So not huge, but not too small in shipbuilding terms. So going through the project and navigating, the performance seems to be okay. I should mention that I am 100% in a browser, so I didn't have to download any applications, even a web app. It was 100% in my browser. So as you can see that every time I move, there's always loading in here, and you can see that it tries to do a relatively decent job to at least show some detail while I rotate, but does take a while to load this information. You probably can see this through the video that it's still loading some of these items. So one thing that I always test is to see this model structure or hierarchy. So these are the drawings that I actually brought in. So it's pretty good in the case that if I do select one of these items, it does select the items in the viewer. And I actually do like how it does this, where it selects the items and grays out the rest of the ship. So when I'm looking or navigating my hierarchy, I can actually identify the parts relatively quickly. Other thing I kind of like from this Autodesk 360 is that it has search capabilities. So if I type in, for example, if I want to look for something that has fire in it, it will do the same identification where it will um, bring the parts that have fire in it as a normal color and then gray out the rest of the project. So it actually is pretty good in that. The downfall of this is that currently just really looks at my source model hierarchy, which if I knew this, I probably would have structured it a little different. It would have been nice if it actually looked at the properties of each of the parts, because a lot of the properties of the parts also have ladder in it, but it unfortunately doesn't do this. And actually what usually happens here is there should be more ladders highlighted, so it doesn't seem to always highlight them. Usually, I'd say 80% of the time it works well for me, but occasionally it seems to be not working, and in this case doesn't seem to be working very well. So let's see if I... Yeah, as you can see, it refreshes quite often. And there's the ladder. So also what it supports is if you actually select these items, it actually does select or support the object properties. So this is the object property of this item. And as you can see here, it has all this ship constructor information of these items. One thing that doesn't seem to be working too well, if I can cancel this, is that if I did want to select an item, select an item, it usually just selects the sub entity and not actually the entity. So therefore I don't get the ship constructor entities. And this is just something that I found in Autodesk 360, which doesn't really work very well for the properties. As you see, if I actually just select without any control, it actually changes my viewpoint, which usually I don't want. But here, I guess again, this bow thruster here, and it actually gives me all the ship constructor entities. The last thing that I kind of like from Autodesk 360, which you start seeing it in other applications, even Fusion and stuff like that, is the explode version. And on a ship like this, it doesn't make sense to use this explode model because it's just too big. But if you kind of think of it as an assembly level, and you're just looking at your assembly and you want to see how it's structured, that you can actually get some benefit of seeing how things are being put together. But as you scroll this, you can kind of see that it's starting to pull the parts away and explode the entities. And it does take a while to fill in. So, and I just want to kind of show you guys on the exact model under BIM 360, just so you guys can compare. So this is the exact same model that I used. You can kind of see that the performance is in BIM 360 is a little bit faster, and this is what I'm more accustomed to. This is more of a web app than it is a pure browser format. So obviously, there's benefits and um, issues with each one depending on what problems you need to solve or challenges you need. Yeah, so you can see it performs a little bit better in this web app, as well as it does have the features that when I deselect it, it does give me the proper object properties and not the sub entities. So I hope that gives you a quick view of what you can expect with um, Autodesk 360 and the performance that we actually have with that and on dealing with a shipbuilding model.